Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to learn change approval policies in ServiceNow. So earlier, everyone was using the workflow, and if there are any changes in the approval, then from workflow we can call any approval groups or individual users. But ServiceNow has made it easy. No need to change the workflows in case there are some modifications happens in the individual approvals or the user group approvals. We only need to call the change approval policy in workflow, and we need to create some of the approval policies in ServiceNow. So we will learn today how to create the change approval policies and how we can call these change approval policies from workflows. So now we are in ServiceNow. In ServiceNow, if you go to all and write the change approval, then we can see the modules called change approval policies or change approval policy builder. Both are same. The change approval policies, if we click on it, it opens this particular page. Here we can see some of the out-of-box policies, like one for emergency change, one for standard change, one for normal change, and one for simple assignment group approval. So let's go through the normal change policy. Let's understand first what is written here, right? So this is normal change policy. Here we have the inputs and decisions. Okay, now we can see as an input we have change request and manager approved. So if we click on the change request, here we can see it is a record which is referencing to the change request. That means whenever any change is created, okay, at that point of time this policy is going to execute. Let's go back, and we have here when it is going to be executed, whether all decisions that are listed here to be matched or only the first decision that match. So in case we put many inputs, and if we want, like, if any of the input criteria matches, it should run, then we can go and select this first decision. In case we want all decisions to be run, all decisions must be true, then we need to keep this option enabled and select run all decisions that match. Now let's have a look on the decisions. So decision does have more conditions, and it also talks like in which state these approval to be loaded in the system. So here by default we have three layers. So first one is requires the cab approval. So this is going to execute it when change move to the cab state. So if we go through it, it has a combination of the state, it has combination of the risk and other parameters. Okay. Similarly, low risk manager approval. So if the risk is low, we might want to only go for the assignment group manager approval. So that's where we can load this particular policy. And then we have one more, assess technical approvals. So this policy loads and get the assignment group approval. So let's have a look on one of the policy, and we will also create one new policy for the specific type of normal changes, so that we can understand and execute it. Okay, so first let's understand. So if we open this record, okay, here we can put the conditions. So it says change request state is assessed, and we have the answer here. This particular answer does contain what type of group approval is required. So I'm opening in a new page here. So this says this is assignment group approval. You can name anything here. Here we have two options, specifically for the user approval or group approval. If you want any group approval, then we can select group approval. If you want a user to approve the change, we can select the user approval. If we want to auto approve or reject the change based on the selections, we can select these options as well. Okay, for now let's keep the group approval. On group approval, this particular group field gets populated, and here also we have option whether that group is available in the change record. If yes, we can select the change record. If that group is not available in the change record, we can go and select the approval definition, and we can mention any group. Okay, for now let's go for change approval. Assignment group is the field which we are selecting from change. Okay, that means if change is assigned to network group will be loaded in the approver itself. Okay, let's move back to the previous page. So here let's take a example. Okay, let's go to the change record. What we are trying to do is what we are trying to achieve here is, if let's say category is network, okay, that point of time we want additional approver as an security approval to be loaded. Okay, and assignment group might be the network. So right now this particular change is new state. I'm just saving this particular record, and we will create a change approval policy in assess state. Okay, so as of now this particular ticket is in network state, and assignment group is also network. If we have a look on the approval part on this particular change, then there are no approvers loaded so far. Okay, because we do not have any approval loaded in new state. When it will request for approval, that point of time it will move to the assess state and approvals will be loaded. So let's write a change policy, and then we will submit this particular change for approval. So to write a change policy, we can go to all, and again go to change approval policies, as we want to write a policy under normal change. So go to normal change and check the input. If we want both of the inputs to be met true, then we can keep both of them. If I don't, for now I don't want the manager approval, I can go and make it false. Okay, so if this particular change is normal, then this is going to execute, and based on the decisions it is going to execute. So if it goes to assess state, this particular policy says load the assignment group approval. That means if you go to this particular change, network group will automatically load it for this particular change. Okay, we are creating a new policy here to get the security approval. So let's click on new, and let's say assess security approval. So it says assess, and we are loading the security approval. So I'm just making a note here, and here let's have a look on the condition. So if that is a specific keyword you are looking in the change, okay, we can select the keyword, and based on that it can load the approvals. We have the change request. So if you have the change request number, it will only load for that. If you have sysid, it can load the approvals accordingly. Okay, so these are the conditions on that this particular policy is going to be executed. If we are talking about the category to be loaded, as I said in the example, so go to show related fields. Under that, now it is going to show any field which is available in change request. So again, click on the change request field, and now we can select category. So what I said, if category is network, I want a security approval to be loaded. So select the category, and I want this particular policy to run only in assess state. Okay, so I need to add another condition here. Again, follow the same path, and say state is assess. All right, save this particular record. Now go to answer, and we need to ensure security group get loaded during the assess state, right? So let's go to answer and check what all group approvals available. So we can see we have CAP approval, Fred approves, it's individual one somebody has created. Assignment group manager approval, if you want, we can select this one. Assignment group approval, if you want, then if change is assigned to the specific group, that will be loaded. We already have it as part of the default policy. What I want to create a new policy where security group to be added. Okay, so I can say IT security approval, and This is common. This if I want it for any other group also, this can be loaded. Okay. Here I do not want an individual user, so I need to select group approval. And is this part of the change request form? No, this is another group. So I'll go to group and I'll select the group here, IT securities. Okay, another point. If this particular security group has multiple people, okay, we have an option here, wait for. So this particular change is going to wait for the first response. So in case anyone from the group approves, this is going to approve. If I want everybody in the group to approve this change, I need to select all responses. Or I can select percentage of user. So if we have 4 people, and I can say if 40% people approve this particular change, then only it should be marked as an approve. Okay, so let's select 40%. That means if we have 4 people in the group, at least 2 people should approve this from security perspective. And okay, let's save this record and quickly have a look now. Again, go to the change approval policies, normal change policy, and we can say this assess security approval is also loaded here. We have few conditions where based on the conditions IT security group will be loaded. In assess state, we can see here change state is assess. This is the only condition written. Now, so this particular approval assignment group will also be loaded as part of the approval. Okay, now let's quickly execute this particular change. So this particular change now we are submitting for the approval. Okay, now it's in assess state. Here, as it's assigned to the network, so in approval group we should have the network group, and as we loaded a new policy also based on the category, so which says if category is network, load the IT security group as well for the approval, right? So that should also be loaded. So let's go through it, and you can see here 2 groups are added, right? So let me sort it by the group, IT security and network. So let's approve it from the assignment group first. Approve. And if you remember, in IT security we mentioned at least 40% people should approve this change, then only this particular change is marked as an approve. Okay, so this particular change got in authorized state. Let's quickly have a look. Okay, it only got approved from the network and rest all were marked automatically as not required. I think I made some mistake. Let's quickly review this particular policy. So this is out of box policy. Okay, this is the IT policy, and okay, we have a mandatory option here which says we must get a response for from this approval, right? So we also need to click mandatory here. Again, save the record. And let's quickly have a look on the other policy we have, which is out of box. And we already have mandatory marked true here, right? That means individual group approval, if we need, then we need to mark this mandatory as true. So let's again check another change. Okay, so we can go through, we can pick any of the existing change which is in new state, and let's add the category here, assignment group. This time let's add a separate assignment group. I just want to ensure there are few people. So yes, there are multiple people we have in this group. So let's say this particular change is assigned to this application development, and that's it. I can go and save this particular change and submit for approval. Okay, now it's in assess state, and it's assigned to application development. That means in approvals we should have the application development, and as the category is network, so we should have the IT security outside. So we can see here that we can approve it now from application development first. You can see it's still in assess state. That means it's still waiting for more approvals to be done. Now, if you remember, we have a condition at least 40% people from IT security should approve. right? So let's approve by one person for now, and you can have a look. This change is still in assess state because at least one more person from IT security should approve this. Then only it should be moved to the next state. So you can see one person already approved, and as we have a criteria of 40%, so it is still waiting for one more person because we have 4 members in this group. So at least 40% will approve. Then this time it should move to the next state automatically, and you can have a look, it moved to authorized state. Now let's understand, to have this whole setup, what all change we need to do. So one thing we understood, we need to create the policy. That is the first thing. Second thing is, we need to update this in workflow as well. Okay, so let's quickly have a look on workflow editor. So people who are using the workflow from long time and still using the workflow in the change, then they need to add this approval policy action in workflow editor. Okay, it seems in the latest Yokohama version, ServiceNow has removed the change workflows because now they want organization to use the flow designer rather than workflows. Okay, so I got the change request flows in one of my another instance. Here you can see change approval policy is there. So if we open this, it's in same way as we need to set it in flow. So what we need to do, we need to select the approval policy, whether it's for normal change or any other change, and you only need to select this part. That's it, right? After then, whatever the policy conditions you have, and accordingly it is going to be applied. So in normal change policy, we have one policy for assess state, one policy we have for CAB approval state. So based on the policies written inside this normal change policy, that will be applicable. So if we are using any other flow, then accordingly those policies we need to invoke in this workflow. So here you can see, if it's rejected, we are sending a notification. If it's approved, then further it's checking on hold and taking to authorized if it's not on hold state. For now, let me show in flow. So here we can go for the flow designer. This will take us to Workflow Studio. Here you can search for the change. For individual phase or state, we have flows given by ServiceNow. So here you can see we have all these flow provided by ServiceNow, and as we are adding the approval policy in assess, so we can click on this change normal assess. Okay, so change normal assess is loaded. Here you can see apply change approval policy. So if we click on it, we need to select the action that is applicable, that is apply change approval policy, and we can label anything. The policy we need to select from the existing one. So as of now in system, we have the normal policy, emergency change policy, right, and the simple assignment group policy. We need to select one of the policy. So let me show all policies here one more time. So core policies like normal change, example standard, emergency, and simple assignment group. Out of one, we need to select something here, right? And for which change record? So in trigger record, we have the change record that can be drag and drop, and that's it. And this will trigger as soon as this will be loaded. This will trigger the approvals loading based on the definition and details we have inside the normal change policy, and based on the conditions, it will first check which state the change is and what all other conditions we have. Accordingly, the required one will be loaded. Okay, and in case this is skipped, then let's say there is no approval policy which is meeting the criteria, then it will go to the skipped part and it will be marked as Now, if we go to the authorized one, which is actually after the assess state, in similar way, we have here the change policy and normal change policy can be selected in this drop down. And this time, the authorized one is going to be triggered for the normal. So assess one is not going to require the CAB approval, where it talks about like the state is authorized. This is the policy action which is going to trigger and load the approval based on the answer definition we have here. So here we have CAB approval as a definition which is going to be loaded. So you can have a look on the conditions. It says the state is authorized and risk is high moderate. Accordingly, if we want to update any of the conditions, we can update it here. Let's also go through the decision builder. So if we go to all and if we write the approval policies, then we have another link called change approval policy builder, right? So if we go to it, it opens this particular page. Here, if we have any other change, like in organization we have expedite change or others, then we can create the new policy from here. As we already updated one of the normal policy, so and if you want to create new, we can click on this new normal change and let's understand this part. So here these are the input, and if whatever input is mandatory, we can mark at mandatory. If something inactive we need to do, we can go and change it inactive. We can change it, we can delete it. Okay, so it gives one graphical user interface to select. Similarly, the approval policies. So if you remember in normal change policies, we have now 4 policies, right? So similarly, let's go here in the decision builder. You can see all 4 policies are here. So whatever conditions we have put, like this is the state condition we have put for the new one, right? This is the one which we created. So state is assessed. If we want to add additional parameter for the risk, we can select here. Like then this policy will execute only for that sort of risk. If we do not want to put any of the conditions related to the risk, related to manager, then we can remove this. Okay, we can keep this active. So okay, here we have created one more additional category, and that we have put it here, right? This is manager approved. So if we want to understand little more, like what is this manager, what is this manager approved, then we can click on here and we can click on edit property, and it shows here when it talks about the manager, we are here talking about the field that is assignment group dot manager. So if we want assignment group manager to be loaded as an approver, or we want this particular condition to be added as an approval policy, we can add the values here. Okay, so let's understand a little more. Now by default this category doesn't appear. By default only few fields appear. If you want to add any field, like category we added, we want subcategory, we can click on these 3 dots and we can add one more column here. So like I want to add subcategory, right? So I can add it here, subcategory. Input would be the change request field. Which field we want to select, we can select a field here. Okay, we don't have the subcategory field on change. Okay, but if you want to add any field, like we have category but not subcategory, so that we can select it here. For now, let's say we want to select the CI, right? Then we can select, like, if this particular policy will only be running for that particular CI, and we can submit it. So we can see here one new column got added, and if we want this policy to execute only for this particular condition, then we can put the condition here. Now based on the condition, what should be the result? So for result we have here, like for the policy which we created, the network one, our result was it should be assigned to the IT security approval group. So accordingly, we can update like what sort of change approval we need, that we can add it here. So whatever approval definitions we have, those will be appearing here, and we can select any of those approval definitions. Yeah, one more point. If you want to add a new change approval definition, like we created one ID security approval, right? Then we need to again go to modules, and you need to write approval definition, and it will take us to the page where we can add a new definition which we want, right? So again we need to click on new, and the way we created the IT security approval, we can create all other approval definition, and then it will be appear here for the selection like this. That's it. Thank you.